it's me, Fleur B, and today we're going to talk about spirituality. That rhymed. In this video, I want to explain some commonly used terms in the so-called spiritual community. These are words that I use on the regular, but they may not be part of everyone's daily vocabulary. It was an interesting process making this video because I understood the words, or at least basically, but I've never really had to verbalize what they mean, especially without any particular context. I mean, there are many other words that are important in spiritual context and that are used super regularly, but I tried to keep it to a small group of terms that I believe are essential to know and understand. Small disclaimer, these are terms that I know and found important and fun to mention in this video. Other people may use different words than I or the people I know do to mean the exact same thing. And some of these exact words may be used by others to mean something else entirely, or at least something slightly different. Firstly, I'm going to talk about what spirituality is and what it is definitely not. Then I want to get into the concept of awareness or consciousness, about frequency and vibration, the divine, source, God, spirit, you name it, how to differentiate between the ego, the soul, and the higher self, then talk about synchronicities and the concept of spiritual awakening or waking up. So starting off with spirituality, and perhaps most importantly, what it isn't. Spirituality is not religion. Of course, religion is inherently spiritual, but spirituality is not inherently religious. Spirituality does not come from religion. Religion is rather a way of giving form to your spiritual practice. Religion is fundamentally a set of rules, regulations, and rituals created by us humans, something that can clearly have bad and good consequences. Religion and spirituality both revolve around your belief system, where you find comfort, ethics, how you reflect on your life and your choices. They ask similar questions, if not sometimes the same, but they sound a little different. There's a bit of a different flavor to it. Religion asks questions like, what rituals or practices should I follow? What is right or wrong? What is true and false? And spirituality asks questions like, where do I find meaning? How should I live? How do I feel connected? These questions can be switched around back and forth, but there is a bit of a difference between what each focuses on more than the other. One focuses more on what the right thing to do is and what the right perspective is, but more so being told by an outside force what that is. It's focused primarily outside of yourself. Spirituality really starts with you. And it may sound more self-centered at times, but you know what? It is. Starting within and then moving outward. I mean, at the end of the day, you are the one who intrinsically has the responsibility and ultimate freedom to design your life's path. And that is no one's gift or mission or task but yours. And of course, how exactly you practice your religion and how much you leave your decisions up to outside forces, that is unique to every single person. I'm really just talking about how these two concepts fundamentally differ from each other. If you are into spirituality, you probably believe or know two words that are not that different from each other. That there is something greater than ourselves, than our human selves. Something more than the physical sensory experience. That we are part of a greater whole. That nothing is a coincidence. That everything is connected. and so on and so on. Spirituality, I feel, more than anything, is about learning about every facet of life and the universe that you desire to know, understand, or experience. It's also, obviously, the search for meaning and purpose in life, but not just any. Your purpose, your path in life. Who am I? What am I? What makes me tick? And in turn, what makes others tick? Same for this world, this earth, this galaxy, this universe, and beyond. What part do I play in this greater whole, in this web of life where supposedly everything is connected and nothing is a coincidence? What does that even mean? Those are questions you ask on the spiritual path. It's not unusual for us human beings to ask questions like these. But perhaps the most beautiful thing about spirituality, when you really get in the thick of it, you find that it's more than just asking, what is this? What is that? How does this work? How does that work? What is the meaning? What is the truth? Instead of finding the truth, it's way more important to figure out, what is your truth? What does life mean to you? What does anything mean to you? What feels true to you? What makes you feel connected to yourself, to others, to this world you live in, to life? What makes you feel joy? And what makes you feel alive? Spirituality really shapes your perspective on all things. In a way, spirituality is the journey of life. It is learning and learning and learning. Although at this point in time and space, it's more so unlearning, but that's a topic on its own. It is growing, moving, evolving. It's the journey toward awareness of self, other and all, toward truth, the nature of the reality you live in, and then to decide what you're going to do with that. How are you going to move forward? What choices are you going to make? And how are you going to feel about it? So basically, being alive. Alright, before I ramble on further, let's continue on to the topic of awareness or consciousness. Awareness is in essence to perceive or experience something. And you can perceive through the physical senses or higher senses like your third eye that can perceive things beyond the physical. You can look at it like this. With awareness, we respond from a place of careful consideration or inner knowing. Without awareness, we react, which is usually a quick, emotional, or impulsive response to a stimulus. If you look at consciousness, which is a bit of a synonym in this case, there's a reason why we talk about being conscious or unconscious, being awake and asleep. Going through life without consciousness or awareness is like sleepwalking through life. So in spirituality, a really big thing, if not the biggest thing of all, is to gain more awareness, to perceive more and more internally and externally. Just knowing what's up. I think I'll keep this one short and sweet. So, on to the next one. Frequency, vibration, and or density. Question mark? Everything is made out of energy. Or rather, everything is energy. We are led to believe that there is a thing such as matter, and beside that, a different realm of energy. But that is not entirely true. Supposedly, at the fundamental core of an atom, there is actually nothing material. There is only an energy field or energy vortex. And so all atoms are basically energy. And why is that interesting? Well, because us humans are also made up of atoms. So we are essentially energy. If you want to know more about that, I would definitely advise to look into quantum physics. Because they're on that shit. So this energy is always in motion. It's always moving. It is vibrating at different speeds. The lower something vibrates, the higher the density, or the more dense it is. The higher the vibration, the lower the density. You can think of matter going from gas to liquid to solid, or the other way around. Same process, density. Different cells within our bodies vibrate at different frequencies, which together creates our own special song. Think of a radio frequency. Put it on a certain frequency, and you will get a specific channel. And it's the same for everything else in the universe. So this is really why we say that something resonates with us or doesn't. Or we talk about how we're so on the same wavelength as someone else or on a particular topic. Now on to the next. The divine, source, God, or spirit. I saw a quote the other day, and it said, "Source consciousness is the eternal and infinite field of energy that includes everything." Bam. Next. Just kidding. I'll elaborate a little further. Actually, according to, I'm not sure if it was quantum physics or normal physics, since I know very little about either, but if a thing splits into a cell or whatever, it may appear to be separated, but it will never truly separate. Nothing that was once one will ever truly separate on an energetic level. So energetically, all is one. All and everything. Because it started somewhere, and it split off, and it split off, and it split off into different things, and here we are. But at the end of the day, we're still connected. Everything is connected. So what is that oneness? That unity? What is that greater whole that we feel connected to? The force that created all, that oversees all, where everything came from, where everything is. You might hear people say things like, the divine and all that is. It's because it's true. It is all that is. That's the best explanation. That's what we mean when we say source, or divine, or God, or spirit. We're just trying, mankind, to, at our current frequency, give words to whatever that greater whole is, what that everything is. And you can imagine that is pretty difficult to do, but we create these words, this language, to be able to communicate about our lives and about reality as we learn more and more about it. And of course, God, or maybe even spirit, is a term that many are a bit allergic to, me included. Mostly because of that dark side of organized religion. So personally, I prefer to use the divine or source, but honestly, I hear all these terms and perhaps even more that I didn't think of right now. I hear them all the time, and I won't shun anyone for using any of these. If what someone is saying really resonates with me, I don't care what term they use. Next, the ego, the higher self, and the soul. This is going to be a three-parter, and we're going to start with the ego, also called the physical or human self, the egoic self or egoic mind. I've also heard it referred to as the unobserved mind, harking back to the topic of awareness. Think of words like egotistical, egocentric, self-centered, self-absorbed. These all basically mean the same thing. It's interesting to see how in our everyday language, or at least the English language in this case, does see the ego as the self. But is that really true? The way I see it, the ego is your mind-made sense of self. It's not who you truly are. It's a bit of you. It's part of you. but its main function is just to protect you from pain. Any and all kinds, physical, mental, and emotional. Most of the ego's thoughts and opinions are based on subconscious beliefs programmed into our minds by our early childhood environment. Lovely, isn't it? The ego basically drives your behavior. It decides where you go, what you say, and how you feel about it. But as you become aware of it and of your true nature, it will control you less and less. Then you can make more and more conscious choices in alignment with your true self, not based on reactivity or defensiveness. The ego is not necessarily bad. We don't want to get rid of it, but mankind has given the ego a bit too much power, a bit too much leverage. Honestly, we've just given it way too much to do that it shouldn't be doing. This is not a perfect example, but it kind of makes me think of how you might know if you've ever had a dog or seen people with a dog. If the owner is insecure, not being assertive, not fully taking on the role that they're supposed to in that connection, in that relationship, then the dog, who is also naturally used to living in a pack and balancing things out, might try to balance things out with you and kind of take over control in the situation where it really shouldn't. But if we're not standing in our power and we're not fulfilling our role, then someone or something else might try to balance it out. So the ego definitely shouldn't be gotten rid of. It serves its function in keeping us generally safe. Think of a car approaching around the corner and you jump back onto the pavement when you were about to cross the street. Ego is useful, but there should be a healthy, balanced cooperation or relationship between all parts of us. And that is a whole journey, but that is what we want to strive for. Onto the higher self, also called the higher mind, higher consciousness, spirit in a different context than before, or even greater self, which is a new one, but I really like it, so I've been starting to use it recently. The terms soul and higher self are often used interchangeably, and that is quite fine. It's not necessarily wrong. As with many of these terms discussed today, there are different angles from which you can look at the very same thing. But for now, the higher self. This is your true self, all that you are. It is very closely connected, as in not far from the divine itself, in a way. Personally, I envision the higher self, if we want to make a distinction between this and the soul, I see the higher self as the third eye, or connected to the third eye, and the soul connected to the heart. And the third eye because your higher self is the you that is wise, the you that knows everything, and I mean everything, the you that is limitless. But I'll further elaborate as I talk. Birdies, chill. Relax. But I'll elaborate on this a bit as I talk about the soul. The soul is the aspect of your higher self that manifests in this body, this lifetime, this incarnation. It is a part of your higher self, but one that is now sort of tied to your body, to your DNA. It's like a partnership between body and spirit that makes the soul. If the higher self is like a great painting, huge, with all types of colors and shapes and patterns, then the soul is one little quarter, one little part of that painting with its particular colors and shapes and patterns, but still part of that greater whole. It's not any less you, it's just a particular expression of you. I've also heard it explained as being like the motor or fuel to the body. That's perhaps why we use words like your soul's desire or your soul's purpose. It feels different, you know? It's not just the one that is wise. It has desires. Desires for the purpose of fulfilling its unique potential. I had to take a little break, so you might have noticed things are a little brighter out here and out there. But we've got 2 more to go, so let's finish this up. Synchronicity. Many people would say that synchronicity refers to the sensation of a coincidence meaning more than just being a coincidence. But honestly, to me, if everything's connected, why would anything be just 'cause? Why would anything be meaningless? Synchronicity happens when you align yourself with the flow of the universe. Synchronicities are the signs and coincidences that are sent from our higher self to guide us on our path. Typical synchronicities may be seeing repeating numbers, thinking of an old friend and then suddenly getting a message from them a day later, things like that. But honestly, synchronicity can show up in so many ways, in countless ways. Synchronicity brings us intuitive guidance, wake-up calls when we need them. They can show us new opportunities. They can be answers to questions you've asked. They can be confirmation. They can give us revelations. And the more you notice them, the more you will increase their flow as you gain awareness of these signs and patterns. We often think that in order to get to a higher vibration or to become a better person, to become more authentically you, that there's all these things that we've got to do. And in a sense, that's true. But at the end of the day, everything is really about awareness and perspective. And these things change and evolve as you live life. But just to say that we don't necessarily need to struggle to reach something or to sacrifice. We carry wounds and issues with us through family lines, through our own lifetimes, etc. And we're working our butts off to heal those. And it's not easy. But once we start to open our eyes to a higher, greater perspective, we start to see that we're more guided and supported than we usually think we are or feel we are. But we are. Last one, spiritual awakening and the concept of waking up. It's the process of waking up to the knowing that there is something greater than ourselves, our human selves. Something more to being human than the physical sensory experience. That we are part of a greater whole, that nothing is a coincidence, that everything is connected, etc., etc. It's waking up to a higher level of consciousness and a deeper mental awareness and understanding or knowing. It's a great shift in perspective. And on your spiritual journey, as in life, you will go through many perspective shifts, some small, some perhaps huge. And the spiritual journey can come or start very suddenly for some people, and for others, it's a gradual process. But waking up is the start of you living life instead of life living you. And like we talked about, instead of your ego deciding where you go, what you say, what you do, and how you feel about it, you start working on creating that balanced partnership or relationship between body and spirit. And remember, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Well, there you have it. A bunch of common spiritual terms explained. I would love to dive into other aspects of spirituality, perhaps other terms and concepts that are common in those circles, but you'll most likely see me using these things in context, just as I talk about life, as I talk about myself. I'm gonna be real honest here, my body and brain are kind of struggling right now. and it's kind of distracting. I didn't have a particular outro planned, so I guess all I should say is thank you for watching. More videos to come on spiritual topics, but also other topics, mental health related, neurodiversity related, etc., etc., life related. Subscribe if you want to follow me on my journey, and I hope to see you again next time. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I wish you all the best. Bye bye. Wake me up inside, wake me up inside, save me, call my name and save me from the dawn. Dawn? Dark. I don't know. I should go to sleep, it's daytime. Mental health is fun. Even with the broader perspective and knowledge of all that it means and all the ways in which things are connected. Okay, we're losing it. We're losing her. Okay, bye.